Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson. Kind of getting at you early this morning because I've got a full day, got a busy day. I'll be in Vicksburg, Mississippi this afternoon from 1 to 3 at Lorelei Books, signing books, which probably a good time to give you a bit of a schedule update. I hadn't done a whole lot here as of late, and got a meeting today. We got some things we're finalizing that we'll share with you soon. But yeah, 1 to 3 today. That's Wednesday, April 30th, at Lorelei Books in Vicksburg. Saturday, May the 3rd, this Saturday, before the Kentucky game, I will be at Campus Book Mart from 10 until noon. So the morning before the Kentucky game, 10 to 2. So before they even open the stadium, you can swing by and come say hello, get some signed books. And then Saturday, May 10th, so before the Ole Miss game, at the Lodge, 10 to 12, before the 2 o'clock first pitch. So that's what's coming up here these next couple weeks. We'll keep you apprised of that. But yeah, Vicksburg, Mississippi today, 1 to 3 at Lorelei Books. Hopefully you can come out and say what's up. Good ball game last night, and I've got so many things to say about it. And we'll talk a little bit about the coaching search today. I don't know if we go the full show because I got to get moving. But nevertheless, we'll get you taken care of. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company, longtime sponsors of the show. We love Bulldog Burger Company. Let's just go ahead and admit it. We like them more than a friend. We love them. And the main reason that I love them is the consistency. I know exactly what to expect. Great food at a great price in a great atmosphere with great service every time I go. And if that means I get it to go, I get the same level of service. It's just incredible. We talk about these things all the time, right? There's so many things in life that people just kind of say, well, that's good enough, right? That's the thing I love about Bulldog Burger Company is they're always chasing excellence, right? There's some places I go, it's just kind of hit or miss, but there is a consistency with the food service, with the food delivery, everything. I know what I'm going to get when I go to Bulldog Burger Company. No matter what I order, I understand the level of service that I'm going to get from them, and I'm going to leave as a very satisfied and well-nourished customer. 3 great locations to serve you: University Drive in Stark Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowood area. Go find your own favorites. If you're a newbie to Bulldog Burger Company, let me encourage you, start with the Bulldog. You can't go wrong there. And then in your subsequent visits, maybe kind of branch out a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Have the spring rolls as your appetizer. They'll make you and everybody around you better looking. Get that chocolate shake to go. You can ride that ride home with a smile. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. M-E-A-T. All right, the one thing that I will say before we get into our breakdown of the game is Justin Parker and the staff had this team ready to play. They absolutely had them ready to play. And that's a difficult undertaking. It's been an emotional few days. You know, every one of the players on this team, I think everybody. Yeah, every player on this team was recruited and coached by Coach Chris Simonis. And there are some guys on this team, and I suspect just about all of them feel a sense of responsibility for kind of what's happened, at least for this season. And so Parker and those guys, you know, they had to battle through that because it even hit me yesterday. I'm getting up, dealing with everything, working on coaching search stuff. So we got a ball game to play. And we did. And so getting those guys ready was important. I talked to a few people yesterday and said before the game, it was kind of tough. Like a couple guys out there kind of felt like a funeral, as one person told me. And then once we kind of got into the routine, right, let's jump out here and take BP, kind of get into our normal routine. Guys began to respond. They're a little bit upbeat. And then, of course, we jump on Memphis pretty quick there. And after the ball game, the guys were pumped. They really were. They were pumped. And I think that's the thing you look at now is this a building block towards a potential run here at the end? We certainly hope so. It's an 8-game homestand. And as I've shared with some people, we got to go 6-8 on this homestand. Well, we're 1-0, right? And so now we move forward. Need a big weekend. We're going to talk about that a little more on Friday. We'll look around the SEC today. But, again, I want to commend those that were responsible, everybody involved with Bulldog baseball, for having this team ready to play last night, because they were, and it was obvious. I thought Noah Sullivan took the mound with real purpose last night. I thought it may have been his best night on the bump as a Bulldog. All right, so here we go. We jump right out there, and first pitch of the game is a strike. You always love that, right? And you guys always respond. You know what? Let me back up a second here. I want to commend our fans here. Something that Justin Parker kind of touched on. And I saw it as it happened. But to hear Parker kind of frame it up in postgame made it even more special. Usually, Lamonis runs out and has the meeting out in left field. Well, it was player-led this time. And as the huddle broke, our fans in that area gave them a huge ovation, many of them rising to their feet. You guys are awesome, man. Because these players need you. They do. This is not just, something that's transactional. These guys have gone through some difficult times this year, some of their own making, right? Let's just kind of call it for what it is. Sometimes the guys hadn't come through. But if we're going to get to where we want to go, we're going to need to be in unison. And I thought the fans last night were incredible. Noah Sullivan goes out and stands on the bump, and he got a near standing ovation. Those are the things that make Mississippi State great. All right, so here we go. So first pitch of the game is a strike, and we get Greer to fly out to center field. And then Fogle flies out to center field. Bryce Chance busy pretty early here. One of the only hits of the early part of the ball game for Memphis came right here on an 0-2 pitch. And I think we've just got a little bit too amped here, and give the kid a little credit. Probably caught too much of the plate. But he singles to the left side. That's Cox. And then Tucker goes down looking. So we're on the sticks pretty early here. And I really think this 3-spot settled us down. Fry grounds out to second, and Reeves lines out to center, hit the ball well. And then Ace Reese, and when Ace Reese uses the middle of the field, like even the grounders, like even the one hoppers, those balls are hit with some pace. You got to get up and get a good breakfast if you're going to go fill one of Ace Reese's ground balls back through the middle. And of course, SEC shortstops typically can, but there's not a lot of margin for error because that ball's getting through more times than not. So Reese opens up a little 2-out magic here for us. Sullivan works a lengthy count here and then gets the walk. And then Hunter Hines doubles to left center. Working the backside gap, 2-run score. Good to see him hit the ball well, but also, too, use more of the field. And he's done more of that this year. He hadn't always gotten the credit he deserved for it, but Hunter has worked a little more backside and worked the middle of the field this year. He hadn't been as dead pull as maybe he was last year, but really good at bat there for Hunter, and got State going here. And then Bryce Chance comes up, and it always seems that Bryce Chance comes up in these 2-out RBI situations and comes through more times than not. Bryce singles to right. Hines comes around the score. They're already having to go out there and talk about it. It's 3-0, and little did they know what was coming. And Caden Robinson pitched really well against us last time when we went up to Memphis. We won that game 5-3, and it just kind of felt so herky-jerky. We had to come from behind to win that game. And against Robinson last time, he goes 5 innings and allows 2 hits and 2 runs. We had 3 here in the first. Stallman grounds out to short. That ends the first inning. And then Noah Sullivan right back through it. 1, 2, 3 inning, and he strikes out the side. That's 4 straight strikeouts. And again, I just felt, to me, I thought Noah kind of shouldered more of the load last night. It is kind of like really stepping up into a leadership role. And listen, he's an older guy and he's been a leader. But I think in times like these, you need guys like him to step up. Because a lot of the younger guys are going to look to guys like him to see how to act. Job well done. Bottom of second, Ross Highfill in the lineup last night gets the walk and then still second base. That's one of the things we wanted from him, right? Lucas Bugner gets a start at second base. As Gatlin Sanders still not quite 100%. And talk post-game, Dylan Cupp also a little bit under the weather too. But Buckner strikes out swinging here. Fry strikes out swinging, and now you're thinking, okay, this is the midweek malaise that I know and love. But no. Sawyer Reeves comes through and singles through the right side, pushes in the run there. Highfield scores, and good job of hitting there. 0-2 count, and Sawyer takes it the other way. Because you got the runner out there you got to contend with, and so anything hit to the right side, good chance you're gonna score, and we do. 4-0. All right, top of third. The streak of strikeouts ends, but the streak of retired hitters does not. 1-2-3 inning again for Noah Sullivan. Sutton flies out to right. Creek Robertson grounds to short, and then Greer strikes out looking. And just like that, you're right back on the sticks. And again, we talk about expanding. And listen, I get it. It's Memphis, and they're having a tough year. That does not change your job. You got to go out there and do your job. When you start looking at teams and you don't respect your opponent, you don't play the best of your ability. I thought Mississippi State did in many respects last night. So Sullivan, again, works it for a walk, and then Hines, you know what? Oppo, again, singles through the left side, and Sullivan comes around, initially called safe at third. They review it. He was out, and he was. And you hate it, but, Memphis gets the challenge. And then Bryce Chance lays down a bunt, just kind of a sight read there. And I love being able to give guys the autonomy when they see it that way to just do it. And that gets Hines to second. And then Stallman absolutely murders a baseball to center field. It's 7-0, and at this point, there is no doubt who is going to win this ball game. It's just a matter of what the final score is going to be. Highfield pops up to short. Buckner pops up to third. Inning over. Top of 4, we bring in Pruitt, and the Bulldog pitching mastery kind of continues here. 1-2-3 inning for Pruitt, and we need him to be good. We do. And he kind of had a little bump in the road later in this game, but 1-2-3 inning, gets a couple pair of ground outs, and then a strikeout looking at Tucker. And then State's right back on the sticks, and one of the most prolific innings that we have seen in recent memory at Mississippi State. We've had some games out there where they've just kind of walked the ballpark. That really wasn't the case. Yeah, there's some walks kind of mixed in here, but Mississippi State on the sticks. And again, Fry comes up, singles to third base, and again, just a sight read. What do we have, 3 bunt singles last night? I think that's right. But Fry gets the bunt down, makes it with ease, didn't even draw a throw. That's how good it was. Reeves is then hit by the pitch, and it's on a check swing, and so they did review it. Memphis challenged it, and of course they lost. I don't know what you gained from the challenge anyway. Right? I mean, what do you gain? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I guess they were kind of buoyed by the fact they'd already won a challenge. But Reeves hit by the pitch on a full count, pushes Fry to second, and then Ace Reese doubles to right center, and that ball was smoked. I mean, as soon as it left the bat, you saw it going into the gap. You knew that thing was going to the wall. It does. 2-run score makes it 9-0. They pull Pittman and bring in Dawgs, and he immediately walks 3 in a row. Not great. Not a wise strategy. But, yeah, he walks 3 in a row. And give the Bulldogs some patience here, too. Some credit for being patient. And then Stallman comes through. Big game for Reed. Doubles to the left side. And sends in 2 runs. And so, and one of those 3 walks, too, was Bryce Chance that forced in a run to make it 10-0. And then Stallman doubles to make it 12-0. They go get Chorzalewski in place of Dawes. And Ross Highfield says hello with a 3-run bomb to left field. Makes it 15-0. Buckner follows with a single to center. Then Fry's hit by the pitch. And then Reeves singles to right field. And now bases loaded again. And how many times have you been here and we hadn't taken advantage of it? Reese flies out to left. RBI sac fly makes it 16-0. And then Sullivan, who had been very patient at the plate, comes in and works Oppo and really pushes that ball hard towards the right field corner. Another run scores, 17-0. They walk Hines. And again, Hines gets down 0-2 in this count and then works it for the walk. And then we start kind of substituting fairly liberally here. And listen, I'm not being critical of anybody, but if some is good, more is better. Bases were loaded here, and O'Brien goes down swinging, Stallman goes down swinging too. And Not that both of those guys didn't contribute to this game, but I'd like to see a ball put in play there, right? 17-0 game as we go to the fifth. And again, getting pretty liberal with our substitutions here. And this is where things got a little bit herky-jerky for us. So McKay singles down the third baseline, and then Polite goes down swinging, and then Nixon singles to right field. So they got runners at first and second, one out. We just go out and talk. We get to strike out swinging. And you're thinking, okay, I really want to preserve the shutout, right? And then we walk Creek Robertson, who's the 9-hole hitter, to load the bases. And that's it for Pruitt. And you bring in Manel, and a chance to get out of it. We roll up the ground ball, and Reeves kind of gets caught in between. And then it's an error, and the run scores. And then next thing you know, Fogel's up the middle, single, 2-run score. Cox singles, a run scores. So now it's 17-4. We finally get Tucker to line out. But, again, there's going to be some human error at times. But, man, I really wanted to get that shutout. I did. Bottom of 5, Highfield singles to center field. Good night at the plate for us, Highfield. Buckner then grounds into the double play. And Downs, who was inserted in the ball game, goes down swinging. All right, top of 6, we got Nate Chester in the game, Landis Sevilla, Robert Fortenberry comes in the pitch, and Fortenberry was really good over the weekend at Auburn. He gets McKay to strike out looking, Polite then singles to right, and then we get the bunt. They try to get a bunt down here, and we throw him out, and a fly out to center. So really good half inning there for Fortenberry. Maybe he can help us down the stretch. We signed him to play him, and then all of a sudden things didn't go the way they should. It's what we expected. All right, bottom of 6, State finally kind of caps their own scoring. They bring in Mississippi native Donahue, Hayden Donahue, I think it's right. Reeves grounds out to third. Chester's been hit by the pitch. I mean, poor old Nate Chester doesn't get a chance to hit very often, and he gets plunked on the very first pitch of the at-bat. Spalletta reaches on a fielder's choice. Hines walks, lengthy at-bat. I love to see that. This game is already in the books, right? And Hunter Hines gets down 1-2 in this count and then works it and works it and works it, fouls the ball off, and then gets the walk. That's the thing that I have always said when it comes to these types of ball games. When games get expanded one way or another, sometimes people's approach and discipline change. In this situation, they did not for Hunter Hines. And this is something that seems like a small thing in the grand scheme, but it's not. I think this tells me that Hunter's kind of worked out of this thing. Of course, a couple of well-hit balls last night, pretty good evidence of that too. But how easy would it be in a 17-4 ball game to just go up there and swing for the fences? But instead, he works it for a walk. I like it. Michael O'Brien in singles up the middle. Love Mike, man, and love that family. And good to see him have some success. And that's a kid that loves Mississippi State. Loves Mississippi State. And I honestly believe, had he not gotten injured right before the season, that he would likely have been the opening day center fielder. And you know what? He was getting regular bats in the fall and the spring and doing a really good job. I think things could have been a little bit different in that respect. Probably Bryce back over and left. And of course, you've got Aaron Downs and Stallman. You got to play some matchups from time to time. But it's just so funny to look back at that. But good to see Mike, get an RBI here. DeVille then grounds out to first, and it's an 18-4 ball game as we go to the 7th. And we still tried to get a little cute here. Duke Stone comes in and walks Creek, the 9-hole hitter, and we go out and talk, and it's like, hey, let's just kind of get this thing over. And then we plunk Perez, who was a pinch hitter. Now we've got a little bit of a problem, right? Fogel flies out to left. They had the pinch hitter come in, Willis. We get him swinging. You're thinking, okay, let's get out of this. Then we walk Tucker to load the bases. And then it's a wild pitch, run scores, and eventually we get McKay to strike out swinging. So a little bit sloppy there, but that's a guy that hadn't been on the mound much. And again, we got high hopes for Duke. We do. He and Charlie Foster both. Former Georgia commitments. We feel like those guys are going to be real contributors for us. All right, so let's kind of look back at your hitting heroes, and there were several. Garrett Fry 1 for 3 in the ball game, and his one hits the bunt. Yeah, Sawyer Reeves goes 2 for 4 in the ball game. Ace Reeds 2 for 3, 3 RBI, a couple runs scored for him. Nate Chester, what a great teammate he is. I would like to have seen him have a chance to swing there. Noah Sullivan goes 1 for 1 and gets 3 walks. Yeah. Hunter Hines 2 for 2 in the ball game. Also 3 walks. Think about that for a second. 4 and 5 walking 3 times. 4 and 5 getting on base. 8 times. 9 times between them. Yeah. That dog will hunt. Bryce Chance 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored and 2 RBI. Also had a walk. And again, congratulations against Michael Bryan 1 for 2. Reed Stallman 2 for 4 with 5 RBI and 2 runs scored in the ball game. Yeah, and then Ross Highfield 2 for 3, 2 runs scored, 3 RBI. You got to like that, you know. And again, I'm not going to oversell the game. This is a bad Memphis team, and Reiser and those guys will get it going up there. But I don't know that it really mattered who we played last night. We just need to get out there and have a good experience, and we did. Noah Sullivan allows 1 hit, no runs over 3 innings, 5 strikeouts, no walks. Yeah, faced 10 hitters, retired 9 of them. 43 pitches. Jacob Pruitt, 1 2/3 of an inning, allows 3 runs on 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, a walk. You know, we're still not quite right there. Kevin Monell has been really good for us this year, and it kind of had a little bit of a bump in the road here. Goes 1/3 of an inning, allows 2 hits, 1 run. It was unearned, and most of these runs were unearned. They only had Memphis scored 1 earned run in the ball game. Robert Fortenberry, 1 inning pitch, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Duke Stone, 1 inning pitch, no hits, 1 run. It was earned, 2 walks, a couple strikeouts there. So Bulldog pitching strikes out 11. That's an interesting dynamic. How many times that we're striking out double digits, but this time we do it in an abbreviated game. And ironically, Jacob Pruitt is credited with the win. How about that? Just because he was on the mound when the game was ultimately decided. And so we kind of move forward now. And again, I want to commend everybody involved for having these players ready to play. And again, it's not very often you put up a 10 spot, but when you do, you typically win. Bulldogs pound out 16 hits. And so at this time, we'll go ahead and award our Close with Blair Player of the Game. And if you know Blair, to know Blair is to love him, and you should. Blair Chandler is my friend, your friend, our collective friend in the mortgage industry. Blair is the guy that gets things done. 24 years of experience. So whether you're looking for your first home, your next home, or your retirement home, Blair is the name to know. Give him a call today at 601-500-2344. Again, 601-500-2344. And let him get you to the closing table. Visit him at closewithblair.com. If you got questions, you can call and text him directly. You don't have to go through a call center, nothing like that. You're dealing directly with the man himself, Blair Chandler. A guy I've known for a long time. I only do business with people that do good business, and that's Blair. With several Boneyard listeners that have closed loans with Blair, you could be the next. Blair's a guy, too, that can get you that pre-qualification letter. Let your real estate agent know exactly what we're dealing with from a financial point of view. This is what we're approved for. Now we know what to shop for. Yeah, and that's there's so much freedom in that, too. Like, hey, I know I'm going to be able to buy a house. I just got to find the one in my price range. And Blair can help you with that and kind of hold your hand the whole way through. Again, that's closewithblair.com. Okay, our player of the game is going to be a coach. It's going to be Justin Parker. And, he was asked in post-game, would he be interested in having a job? And he basically said yes, it's a destination-type job, which is something that we've always said. But, it would have been easy, for these coaches to just say, you know what, hey, I need to call my agent. I got to make sure I've got some way to feed my family next year. Now, the good thing is most of these guys are on multi-year contracts. But I can only begin to imagine how difficult it probably was for Jake and for Cheese and those guys because they've been there. They've been there the whole time through the wellness. And I'm sure it was a little bit surreal not to have him out there. But I commend our coaches. And again, I thought Parker had so many great things to say in postgame. And it's about the program and it's about the players. It's not about them. And I thought the coaches last night were outstanding. It kind of helps when the players are putting the ball in play. But again, they had to fight through some difficulty to go play a game. And if you had looked up in that ball game last night and we're down to Memphis in the middle of that ball game, you probably wouldn't have been surprised. But there was no doubt about this ball game. So again, I want to commend our coaching staff and Coach Parker certainly for. I think he said some very important things in postgame, and that's a tough spot to be in. Right, you got to go to postgame and deal with the media, and many of the questions are going to be about Coach Lamonis and about the change, and I thought he handled it exceptionally well. I did. He's a great communicator, and he'll be a head coach somewhere at some point. I wouldn't discount him. Like if this team goes on a run, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't work his way into contention. Not saying that's the way we're going to go, but don't eliminate him as a candidate. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Because, again, we got an 8-game homestand and we go to Missouri. The games are there for us to win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if we come out with the same focus we had last night, we're going to be in a good spot, I believe. And we'll see what happens, with Kentucky this weekend. All right, real quick, let's take a look back at the Tuesday night that was in the Southeastern Conference. Not a lot of big surprises last night. Those midweek games, we're only acutely aware of what happens with us, and sometimes you forget. It's one of the reasons that we do this scoreboard recap, because I think people need to be surprised if you kind of find out that it doesn't just happen to us. Well, your opponent this weekend, Kentucky, was upset in Bowling Green last night, and I don't know if the Hilltoppers would call it an upset. Western Kentucky is 35-10 this year, 11-7 in their league. But again, it's an SEC team, and you get an SEC team to come to your ballpark. You want to take advantage of those opportunities, and it should be an RPI climber for you. Western Kentucky beats Kentucky 6-4, and one of Kentucky's runs comes in the ninth. Western Kentucky 14 hits in this ball game. Kentucky didn't help themselves, a couple of errors there, but. That's a little bump in the road. It is. And again, we know like it's going to Troy or going to Southern Miss or somewhere like that. Even going to Memphis, places UAB. It's a different air in the building. And I think that's interesting. Interesting. You wrap up the series win over South Carolina, and you go on the road to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and it's a loss. Indiana State and Vanderbilt proved to be kind of an entertaining game for a while, but Vandy gets up, 3-0. Indiana State cuts it down to a 3-1 lead there in the sixth. Vandy answers that run, and then Indiana State puts another one up in the seventh. Vandy answers again, and they win 5-2. Austin Nye, your pitcher of record for Vanderbilt, now 2-0, 5 innings pitched, no runs, 6 strikeouts. Northern Kentucky made this thing a little interesting with Tennessee last night. I don't know if you were keeping up there. And I always feel like Tony and those guys will figure it out in the final 3 innings. But you look up there in the third, after 2 are complete, Northern Kentucky is beating Tennessee in Knoxville 4-3. And you're thinking, score's not going to hold. And it didn't. Kentucky gets 2 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth, kind of begins to put things away. But Northern Kentucky refused to go away. Scored there in the seventh. Tennessee answers. So they win at 7-5. And as much as I like this Tennessee team earlier in the year, there are some things about this team that I think maybe are missing. They just don't seem to have the edge they did last year. Maybe it's because they won the national championship. Charleston Southern makes it a game late with South Carolina. South Carolina jumps out to a 5-0 lead after 7. They put 4 up in the bottom of 7 to make it a 5-0 ball game. Southern comes through with 2 in the 8th, 1 in the 9th, and ultimately fall 5-3 at Founders Park there in Columbia. Jarvis Evans Jr. Getting the win for the Gamecocks. We faced him. And Henry Kazmaier, this guy always is in the box score. 2 for 3 in the ball game. Kennesaw State and Georgia, not much of a game there. Slade Alford, kind of the hero for Georgia. 9-2 is your final. Trey Phelps, the talented first baseman from Georgia, goes 3 for 5 in the ballgame. Kansas welcomes Missouri to Lawrence, and 9-3 ballgame. Missouri gets out to a 1-0 lead, and this Jackson Lovich kid is just, it's amazing. He won't make all SEC, but maybe he should. Maybe somebody will give him that. Can you imagine being the only guy on that team that can play, that can consistently hit the baseball? He goes 2 for 3 last night, but Kansas answers back with 3 in the bottom of the first, 1 in the second, and then it's a 4-2 ball game in the fourth, and from there it was pretty much all Kansas as they win 9-3. Missouri now 13-31 overall on the year. It's going to be rough. Going to be rough. Auburn and Samford, really not much of a game. I say that just because of the fact Samford just didn't put the ball in play. There's Christian Chatterton is a guy that Butch Thompson is extremely excited about. Probably be a weekend guy for him next year. He goes 6 innings pitch and strikes out 10 as Auburn beat Samford 3-0. They get 2 in the first, 1 in the seventh, and really not much of a game from there. But not a blowout. But you limit somebody to 2 hits in a 9-inning ball game, good chance you're going to win. Texas A&M all over Lamar, 13-6. A&M 25-19, 8-13. And again, people were talking about how red hot they were. Guys, they're right there with us. We got to get hot down the stretch. Of course, A&M gets swept against Texas. Speaking of Texas, they go the full 9 against Prairie View A&M. Did you expect that? I didn't. I didn't. I thought that this game would be over in about 7, and it would be an absolute blowout. What ends up being a blowout, 11-2, but they end up going the full 9. So good for those guys, right? Easton Winfield, one of the best names in baseball, goes 4 for 4, 2 RBI home run. Austin Peay put a scare in Ole Miss, as you guys are well aware. You kept up last night. Through the middle innings, it was 3-1 Austin Peay. I told you that game could be a little bit interesting because the Govs, pretty good this year. And then Ole Miss blows it open with 5 in the seventh to win the game 6-3. Landon Waters, very Ole Miss name, the win in relief. Austin Foley, the guy that hit the tank against Ryan McPherson to force extra innings last week, also with a solo home run last night. LSU makes short work of Southeastern Louisiana last night. Southeastern gets these guys on occasion. And last week, midweek, LSU gets beat by Northwestern State. No such luck this time. LSU jumps out to a 4-0 lead, builds it to 5. Next thing you know, after 4, it is 10-2. Tigers win 15-2 when it's all said and done. Southeastern kind of co-conspirators in their own demise with 3 errors. Wichita State and Oklahoma was canceled, as was Arkansas, Missouri State. Those games will not be made up at this juncture. And we'll kind of look ahead. Before we get back together, there will be one SEC series that gets going, and that's going to be Texas and Arkansas in Fayetteville. That'll get going Thursday, May the 1st. There are no games tonight within the league, but that could be and should be a very interesting game. Texas and Arkansas. Texas is rolling with this thing, and Arkansas, has had some bumps in the road here as of late, and Texas now 5 games up over Arkansas. It's going to be rough, man, and it's pretty obvious that the first year in the league, Texas is going to be your SEC champion. They've won 10 in a row. And again, here we are with 6 SEC games left to play, and they have a 5-game lead on Arkansas and LSU. Texas is going to be your SEC champions. And so they could clinch this weekend. And I don't know that's what we wanted, to be honest with you. But it is impossible to look at this and say, you know what, this team isn't great. And we played them. It's like there are not a lot of superstars in that lineup, but there are no holes. There are no holes in that lineup. That's your baseball update for today. All right, time for today's top 10 list. As always, brought to you by Calido Guitars. That's Calido Guitars. That is a Mississippi State owned and operated business in Lake Jackson, Texas. We're very happy to partner with them. Incredible selection at Calido Guitars. And this makes sense that they're part of our top 10 list, right? So Calido Guitars will give you exemplary service, quality products, and an expertise level that is unsurpassed. You can check in with them again at CalidoGuitars.com, C-A-L-I-D-O guitars.com. And here's the cool thing. It's not just guitars. It's guitar accessories, it's gig bags, it's cases, and there's something cool about walking around with a guitar case. It just is. It's true. People take notice. They do. And so the guitar player in your life is wanting a new rig. They may not tell you that, but they do. They need some new gear. And so I'm going to encourage you, rather than just go to the pawn shop, do it right. The selection included guitars will absolutely blow your mind, for sure. Now, they're going to give you some incentive to do business with them. If you use promo code BSR, Beautiful Steve Robertson, make it simple for you. You get 10% off your purchase. If you don't live in the state of Texas, you don't pay sales tax. You get free shipping no matter where you live. And then a 5% donation of your purchase price will be donated to the Bulldog Excellence Fund / Bulldog Initiative. What's better than that? I love this. Bulldogs helping Bulldogs, giving you great products at a discounted price, but also helping Mississippi State. I wish more businesses had the same level of commitment to Mississippi State that they do. Calido Guitars. Be sure and check them out today. Again, Calido guitars.com. Okay, we're playing Kentucky this weekend, so I thought, you know what? Let's kind of take a look back at the music of Kentucky. We've done something similar. I'm entitling this one The Rock of Kentucky. And I know we've done something like this in the past, but it's worth celebrating. And some new bands in here. So number 10, this is a song that my wife discovered. And I dig it. I do. And the band will never reunite, as the singer died of Hep C, if I remember correctly. But it's a band called Primer 55, and the song is Loose. And there is some adult language in this song, so probably not something you want to listen to around your kids. But it's kind of like the second wave of nu metal. Number 9, a little Christian rock for you. Had a lot of good comments about the third day list and, of course, our Easter list. But it's Audio Adrenaline. Did you know that they were from Kentucky? We're going to go with Get Down from Audio Adrenaline. And they're kind of more of a pop-type act. But I thought, you know what? I didn't know they were from Kentucky. Let's work them into the list. Number 8, a band that's more of the alternative rock side. It's the Muckrackers. Did a couple of albums, but it's Hold On from them. That's your number 8 track. Number 7, the band Flaw. Our friends from Jackson, Mississippi. Storage 24 actually went out to Hollywood and opened for Flaw at the Whiskey. Shout out to Fred. And we're going to go with the track Recognize. Number 7, Flaw, Recognize. Number 6, this is more of an Americana act. You guys know him. Many of you love him already. But it's Tyler Childers. Did you know he was born with a club foot? Maybe you didn't. Had to have several operations as a child and now leads a very normal life. But he has a very haunting voice and delivery. And we could probably do a top 10 list of his. I've got a friend of mine that is a huge Tyler Childers fan. We're going to go with Feathered Indians at number 6. Number 5, this is going back. This is a band, too, that kind of changed with the times. They were kind of a rock radio act, a little more on the softer side. And then eventually they went country. And, you know, at the time I thought, well, this is ridiculous. I thought this is a sellout all the way. But we're going to go back to the rock era with them. It's the band Exile with the track Kiss You All Over. I want to kiss you all over and over again. It's a little bit much. It's a different time. Number 4, it's Cage the Elephant. And we've had a couple of players that have had this track as their walkout song at Mississippi State. I think Parker Stinnett had it for a while, but Ain't No Rest for the Wicked. Cage the Elephant's a cool band, too. Cool band, for sure. Now, the final three, I love all three of these bands, and two of these are connected. And the only reason that the order is the way that it is because the number 2 band was kind of the front runner or the forerunner of the number 3 band. The number 3 band is Tantric, and I love those guys. Hugo got a great voice, very distinctive. Could go a lot of different directions here. I love Tantric. Absolutely love their sound, their vibe, everything about them. They're so good. But we're going to go with Breakdown because I know the Breakdown, as you do too. Be sure and check them out. Even if you're just looking for a cool band to listen to, but put on Tantric Essentials on Apple Music and let's let it roll for you. You'll be glad. But they were originally our number 2 band. They changed singers and then changed the name of the band. They were Days of the New. And you remember them? A lot of people said this is the next Alice in Chains. And it really wasn't. They were still super cool. And we're going to go with Touch, Peel, Stand, a song that I've sung karaoke many nights. Days of the New, super cool band. They were. Just couldn't get it together, man. Just couldn't get it together. Some addiction within the ranks of that band. Number 1, though. And these guys are the descendants of the Kentucky Headhunters. It's Blackstone Cherry. Got a chance to see them at Rick's with the Cadillac 3 some time ago. My buddy Blake Dees came. We checked it out. It was great. And we're going to go with Me and Mary Jane, which little double entendre there. Me and Mary Jane got a thing going on. Mary Jane's not a person, but a thing. You can do the math yourself. But that's your number 1 act from Kentucky. And I believe I have every album of Blackstone Cherry. I believe. I mean a physical copy. I don't mean a downloaded copy. Or maybe the last album I don't have. But, yeah, I love those guys. I think that catalog is great. It's real Southern rock, and, of course, lead singer Chris Robertson. Certainly a cousin. We'll claim kinship nonetheless. But that's your top 10 list for the day as we celebrate, kind of some string music from Kentucky, and not on the basketball side of things. But if you have ideas for the top 10 list, reach out, let us know. Best way to do that is to hit up Roy Samanti, my friend, on Twitter or X at Dawgmatic67, Dawgmatic 67. I don't mind if you send them to me. I just may not see them as often. I get a lot of notifications. And you can find our great list on Spotify at Dawgmatic67 as well. And we're a little bit late getting them up sometimes, but we will get them up for you. And just subscribe to Roy. You'll be glad you did. He's not going to put anything silly on there. But there you go, the Rock of Kentucky. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. We love Campus Bookmart because they've always been there when we've needed them. And you're going to need new Mississippi State merchandise probably for the duration of your life. Get a lot of Bulldogs in your family. Don't complicate things. Just go to Campus Bookmart and find what they need, whether it be apparel or just gift ideas, decorative items, diploma frames. I like to push those around this time of year because of the fact that I think it's a timeless gift. I know that we got both of our girls diploma frames from Campus Bookmart, and they absolutely loved them both. One of them we had to buy 2 frames. But all of that understood. When you have Bulldogs in your life that have birthdays or Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, whatever, look no further than Campus Bookmart. If you can't make it to town and you'd love to support a Starkville business, which we're certainly fans of, visit them on the World Wide Web at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays, and that is BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than $75, absolutely incomplete. And while you're ordering for someone else, buy something for yourself. I'm giving you permission to treat yourself just a little bit. We don't do it enough. And every so often I go buy myself something, right? You work hard. You put up with a lot of nonsense. You deserve to have something nice every once in a while. And that's okay. That's okay. And Campus Bookmart give you the best selection of Mississippi State merchandise in the known universe. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some coaching search stuff. there are a few things I just kind of want to set the parameters here for this coaching search thing. Okay, this is going to be a longer process, okay, because of the fact that we didn't make this announcement and the decision at the very end of the season. And there's some people out there that felt we should have. And I believe, honestly, I believe the pressure is now off the players. It's true. And I think they played that way last night, a lot more relaxed. I think it's one of those things you feel a sense of loyalty to other people. And so it's not just enough to play the game in the most difficult baseball league in the country, but you kind of recognize things aren't going well. Guys are not oblivious to what happens on social media. The parents aren't oblivious to what people think and the sentiment. I mean, right, and a lot of that's justified, right? Some of it got very personal, but when we're not winning, we're not winning. And as I've said many times on this show and other places, it's the losing that divides us, right? Many of you really didn't have any beef with Chris Lemonis other than the fact that we weren't winning enough. And ultimately, that's what led to him getting fired. Not your sentiment, but the fact that the administration recognized we just simply are not meeting the standards of Mississippi State baseball. And so I think that's important to kind of understand. And but there's some other people out there that really never thought Chris was a good hire from the beginning, and I think that's unfair. I mean, the fact that he won an AFL championship says a lot, but he did not build upon that championship, and there is no debating that fact. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. We won the AFL championship, and we thought we were ready for a big run, and it didn't come to pass. And so now we move forward. And so my belief, and we saw some evidence of it last night, is that the Mississippi State fan base is like, you know what, hey, now that this is over and it's official and it's behind us and we don't have to debate this topic any longer, we're going to go cheer for our players. We're going to go cheer for the M over S. We're going to be there for our players because we love Mississippi State and we love the fact that they chose us. It's a big part of this thing. And so as we get ready to move into this coaching search, I think one of the things that you can do is to be positive. I mean, again, you don't have to advocate for the coach to be fired any longer. That's been taken care of. That's no longer a topic of conversation. But I think one of the things that we can do is unite as a fan base and show our next coach, hey, we're going to be there, and we're not just going to be there to be entertained. We're going to be there to encourage. And we're going to be at the ball games. And if you were on the fence about coming, I know a lot of people were like, oh, there's not going to be anybody there these last 2 weekends. Well, there would have been. But my hope is that we can have some huge crowds this weekend and next weekend to support these players and these coaches as we still try to keep our slim hopes of making an NCAA regional alive. And many of you have already moved on. You're like, it's not going to happen. And maybe it won't. But we're going to play it a game at a time. And the good thing is that 8 of the final 11 are at home. One of those has already been taken care of last night, and we'll go take care of Kentucky this weekend. But this Kentucky team has kind of been up and down a little bit. We're going to talk about that more on Friday's show. But I think it's important to kind of get that out there. The time for division is now behind us. And now let's go pull for the Bulldogs. You imagine how fun that would be? I mean, you go back and think about how tumultuous that 2018 season was for us. We could not wait for that thing to end. And then we get hot at the end and we sweep number 1 Florida and we find our way in a regional and ultimately landed in Omaha. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this team's going to Omaha, but I think this team is certainly talented enough and capable enough to getting there. But the weight has been lifted. And I think we have got to do our part to kind of help carry the rest of it. We're going to cover every game, win, lose, or draw. And, Jacob's been traveling with me the last couple of trips, and I told him if you were thinking about passing on the trip to Missouri, I think it's important that we do make that trip because what if, right? What if State finds a way? You win the series against Kentucky, you win the series against Ole Miss, and you sweep Missouri. Well, you can do the math on that right there. That gets you to where you need to be. You may be in a scenario where, hey, if you just avoid getting swept, you win one of these two and then sweep Missouri and pick up a win somewhere, you still may make it. But when you start thinking about that aspect of it, you got 7 SEC wins now. You win 2 out of 3 this weekend, 2 out of 3 the next, and sweep Missouri, you're at 14. And, you go over and, you go realize that you've got a situation now where you have the 14 wins, and the RPI will take care of itself. No matter who the coach is, you've got a real opportunity. Now, Brian O'Connor's name from Virginia has been mentioned in connection. We did not put him on our initial hot board. I got some friends in the industry, and one of them shared with me, I think Brian O'Connor may be movable this year, and he was last year. And there was a lot of talk about him taking the Texas A&M job last year, and there were some commitments that were made to him to get him to stay at Virginia. And I can't speak to whether those promises have been kept or not, but I'm told that O'Connor is movable for the right opportunity. And as Kendall Rogers said, and a lot of people kind of misinterpreted, because he said he didn't like the timing of the firing of Lamonis, but he came back later and said the timing of this may be a good thing, and people kind of misconstrued that as like, hey, is it good or bad timing? What he is referencing is the timing may work out well for the next hire because we may be the biggest job in the country. And so as a result, we should be able to get a really good coach. And I firmly believe that too. Now, one of the things that I want to share with you too, I've had multiple conversations with our administration, and we're not going to go cheap on the hire. Now, we may end up hiring somebody that maybe doesn't require us to even pay what we paid to Chris Lamonis. Now, if you go out and get a Brian O'Connor, you're going to have to, right? But the right coach might not be Brian O'Connor. Maybe somebody else. But we're not going at this thing thinking, hey, we got to go get a Dollar General coach. We don't even have to go get a Walmart coach. We can go do what we need to do. And I spoke with somebody from Lee Hall yesterday that said that Dr. Keenum has authorized Zach Selman to do whatever he needs to do to fix baseball. And if that means that we've got to allocate more resources to get that done, then that's going to be the case. We are not poor old State, and I get sick and tired of that. I'll be honest with you. I get so sick and tired of that. That's got to stop. It's absolutely got to stop. Because I'm telling you right here today, I don't know who the coach is going to be, but I can assure you that Dr. Mark Keenum is not up there, pinching pennies and thinking, oh, okay, well, this is a chance for us to save some money. No, Mark Keenum wants Mississippi State to be a dominant baseball program just like you and I do. Zach Selman wants Mississippi State to be a dominant program just like you and I do. We didn't make this decision this week. Zach Selman didn't wake up Monday morning and says, yeah, I think I'll go fire the baseball coach. This is something that has been kind of monitored all throughout the year. And now here we are, right? But I want to just kind of frame this up for you a little bit. I think there's some people that have kind of put some things out there that have kind of concerned some of you. But I can tell you, I have been given assurances that we have the resources to hire whoever we need to hire. Whoever Zach Selman feels is the best fit for Mississippi State, we have the resources to go hire and pay that person, his staff, and of course our players, as it's a new day and age. That's an important aspect of all of this. And we have to take care of baseball. And there's so many people out there that don't like baseball, and that's okay, that's your right. But it is a huge part of the Bulldog branding. And so, yeah, we're going to command some pretty serious attention when it comes to your coaches around the country. This is a great job. And we get great attendance, but I'll be honest with you, I got sick and tired of us kind of hanging our hat on having big crowds. I wanted to have big moments and big trophies. Now we have one. I want more of them. And so that kind of leads me to this next point. I kind of touched on this earlier. Can Parker legitimately work his way into serious candidacy? I believe that's the case. I believe he can. And I think, Bo Bounds and I spoke after the LSU series, and Bo felt like Lamonis should have been fired then. I didn't agree because I didn't think there was enough data. And I think the fact that Chris was a national championship coach, you wanted to give him a real chance. And I do believe people in the administration wanted Lemonis to make it. I believe they absolutely did, gave him every chance to make it. And then when it appeared that it wasn't going to go, and that maybe perhaps this was going to kind of be the Lemonis experience, right, that they made the decision to move forward. But, what happens if this team makes a regional? What happens if this team wins a regional? That's not out of the realm of possibility. And I understand it's probably more possible than probable. But if Parker finds a way to, along with the staff, right, if he finds a way to kind of navigate through these last 3 weekends and gets his team into the postseason, what do you think that means for the players? They're going to feel like, hey, we made it. It's a new season. The whole point was to play postseason baseball, and Bryce Chance kind of said as much yesterday. He gets regular season's fine, but you come here to play postseason baseball. If that happens, that's a question I think we have to ask ourselves. If, there's that whole if-then, like the whole, that whole dynamic of if this happens, what does that mean? If Park gets his team to a regional, I think you have to seriously consider him as a candidate. A candidate. Maybe not the coach, but I think he absolutely deserves to get a formal interview. And he is going to be a head coach somewhere, and maybe it's not here. But in the event that he wins a regional, I think he goes from being a candidate to being a favorite. That's how I see it. Now, you remember, maybe you do, maybe you don't, when they fired Bohannon at Alabama. Maybe you recall that. And it was not a great situation for anybody over there, right? Nobody involved in all that came out winners. And you felt so bad for the players. But maybe you've forgotten this, but it was shortly after. They had the LSU thing where, Bohannon allegedly had had a friend go make a bet, against Alabama. They were playing in Baton Rouge. Their Friday night starter wasn't going to go. And LSU ultimately swept that series. At Alabama, you look up, it's like, hey, they're 9-12 in the league, 30-15 overall. And they fired the coach. Well, I guess Burns suspended him first, kind of pending investigation. It didn't take long. And then lo and behold, that weekend, number 5 Vanderbilt shows up in Tuscaloosa, and Jason Jackson, the pitching coach, is leading the charge, and they take 2 of 3 from Vanderbilt. And I remember seeing the teary eyes on the field as everybody celebrated with them for winning that Saturday game 2-1, for taking the series. And then they got hot. They take down Troy, and then they go to College Station, Texas, and take 2 out of 3. And then they sweep Ole Miss. Absolutely incredible. And again, this, I don't know if there was a malfeasance going on in the games or not, but there clearly were some things that weren't right. And a lot of people thought, hey, maybe they should give Jason Jackson a try. I was being told that Jason wasn't going to get the job, but he may get a job. Alabama then goes to Hoover and goes 2-2. Well, they make a regional. Ended up hosting a regional. Pretty crazy, right? I mean, truly it is. And again, all this happens with 3 weekends to go. And they end up hosting a regional. I'm not saying we're going to do that. And then they sweep through that regional. And they make it to a super, and they lose to Wake Forest, who was the number 1 team in the country at the time. And so Jason Jackson, then they hire Rob Vaughn, and Jason Jackson stays on as a pitching coach, right? And so I roll that out there because what if that possibility becomes the reality for Mississippi State? What if we get hot and we can find a way to keep Parker as a pitching coach. And I know people are like, oh, he was so great last year. Things hadn't been as good. Well, he doesn't have as many ingredients to cook with this year. It's true. But I think that's one of those things some questions we have to be ready to ask ourselves. Is where does Park fit in all this? I think he likes it here. I know that he loves the tradition of our program, and I will share with you one other thing that I think is interesting. A comment from last night. I guess it was Sam Sklar from the Ledger, if memory serves me correct. Sam is the one that asked, hey, would you want to be considered for the gig? And here is what Park had to say, if I can get it to come up here. And you can go read this for free. You can go see the video for free at genespage.com right now. But yeah, he was asked, what are your feelings about this? What are you going to do? Do you want to be considered? And Park says it's a destination job. This is the best ballpark, the best fan base in college baseball. While my thoughts have been mostly on our guys and our families, it's certainly quite the honor and opportunity. Right? And we talk about these things all the time. We want people that love us and love our tradition and love what we stand for. And so we could do a lot worse than Park. I'm never a big proponent of the first-time coach, right? First-time head coach. I think that's a dicey proposition, but especially in baseball. We haven't had to handle that aspect of it. But, Tony Vitello was a first-time head coach. Wes Johnson was a first-time head coach. John Cohen was a first-time head coach. Well, maybe not. When he went to, I guess he was head coach at Northwestern before he went to Kentucky. But my point being is that, some of the best coaches in the Southeastern Conference were former assistants. And so that's something that I think that we have to consider. I'm not saying that's the way it's going to go, but I know a lot of people out there are kind of, saying, hey, it's got to be Mingione or it's got to be Butch or whatever. I think there is a path for Park to kind of work his way into contention. I think that's a fair assessment. All right, final segment of the show brought to you by the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. If you're looking to bring a larger group to Starkville, and you should, look no further for your accommodation needs. It's Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Google the Stark Vegas Clubhouse, and their Facebook page auto-populates, and you can go check out the pictures of all the amenities available to you and your guests. Guys, it's just 5 minutes away from the Mississippi State campus. How cool is that? That's how close you can be, right? Do your tailgating right there at the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. You don't have to lug all that stuff to campus. I know there's a lot of social aspects of that, but sometimes you just don't feel like doing it, right? Take advantage of that full-service kitchen, the wet bar, the back porch area, the fire pit area, 6 bedrooms, 2 baths, soon to be 3 baths. Be ready to roll, man. And there's just something about being there and having everybody under one roof. We had a great time when we stayed there. Super cool. Went there for New Year's, sat around, watched football with the fam, enjoyed the grandkids. You can too. And maybe you don't have grandkids. Maybe you just want to get all your college roommates together and just, hey, let's just all get together and hang out and go to the ball game. Maybe you got some vacation time you want to spend during the midweek and come enjoy some of your favorite Starkville locales and restaurants and things like that. Starkville's a great place to be, even when there's not a ball game. I love living here. And maybe you want to come up here and just take a work retreat or something and kind of get everybody out of the office. And everybody can have their own accommodations, but there's also some communal areas where you can congregate and just kind of enjoy being together. Now, when you Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse, some booking options are going to come up, Airbnb, VRBO. But if you want to save some money, book through the Evolve website and use promo code BSR10. That's beautiful Steve Robertson, the number 10, BSR10, and get 10% off your stay. Saving some money at the Golden Triangle's elite accommodating venue for what you're trying to get accomplished with your friends and family, for sure. Stark Vegas Clubhouse, the best place to stay in the Golden Triangle. Okay, now before we get together again, we may have a few announcements about some recruits that we're chasing. Former Alabama, Florida State offensive lineman, may announce today. I'm told the decision could come as early as today. He wrapped up an official visit with Syracuse. The latest I've heard, it's basically down between Syracuse and Mississippi State. There are a couple other schools still vying for his services. I think it's kind of a coin flip deal. I'm not going to sit here and say that I expect him to commit to Mississippi State, but I won't be surprised if he does. I think you take him, and that's probably the final piece on offense. You've already got out and added 5 offensive linemen, and they're all massive, right? Well, he is too. And that would be a great piece to get. And a guy that has some ties to some of the guys on our staff, so we have some relationships to kind of work with. And so that's important to understand too. Brody McWhorter is going to announce his decision on Thursday. He had originally planned to do it on the 15th. It is now going to be one of these things that he does on the 1st. And the finalists are Colorado, Indiana, and Mississippi State. I have already entered a crystal ball pick in favor of Mississippi State. One of the things that we talked about at the beginning of the recruiting cycle for 2026 is it was going to be difficult to go get, a big-time blue-chip quarterback. I think Brody McWhorter is a really good quarterback, and I think he fits our needs and fits our offense. And he is a guy, basically him and Derek Zamet have kind of been the two that Mississippi State have really pushed. And Brody is a guy that has spent a lot of time on campus, plays at Cass High School out in Georgia. I think we feel really good about where things are headed here. And so that's going to happen tomorrow. And so hopefully that goes our way. We can talk about it on Friday's show. Still looking for a DB. Noah King, former 247 Sports 4-star. Was at Kansas State last year. He did redshirt, but he's a very talented guy. He was a guy out of Hamilton, Ohio, was considered one of the top cornerback prospects. He's kind of grown into a safety. He's about 200 pounds now. But this whole corner situation may turn into, the best available DB. And you can go add a 4-star safety to your room. Even if he doesn't play a lot this year, that's a good thing. So that's something else to watch. And I'm told that he is going to visit this week, could arrive as early as today. But we are in a good spot. We got a few things left to accomplish. But, the needs we had going in per the big whistle himself, Jeff Lebby, is we needed to go get some offensive linemen. The initial thought is we may go get 2 or 3. Well, now we're looking at 5 or 6. We need to go get a tight end. We elected to take 2, right? And so we have done some things to really shore up the run game and the pass pro game. And now we're kind of working on the other side of this to find one more defensive back. And so that's where things sit with those guys. And again, kind of some names for you guys to watch as we get ready to push into the back half of the week. It has been a very interesting week for the Mississippi State fan base. But I'd remind you that we got some big games coming up this weekend on campus at Dudy Noble Field. And I think that's one of those things where, as I mentioned earlier, these players need us. So 6 p.m. Friday, it's Super Bulldog weekend. Of course, spring game's already in the books, but there'll be a lot of activities going on around Starkville. 6 p.m. first pitch at Dudy Noble Field, and then we'll play at 2 on Saturday and noon on Sunday. So you can come, and take in the 3-game series and get home at a decent hour on Sunday evening. And the next thing you know, man, it's finals week. Yeah, finals week. No midweek game next week. And then we'll host Ole Miss for a 3-game weekend. I expect the crowds to be intense there. And then North Alabama Tuesday in the final midweek. And then we head to Missouri. So we're going to be home these next couple of weeks. We would ask that you come and join us and be a part of all this. We absolutely loved when you guys come to town. And your baseball program, your athletic department, your university needs you. So if you're on the fence about coming, I'm going to encourage you to come. And again, to be here to support these young men and support this coaching staff and support this baseball program. Uncertain days ahead, but I am confident that we will make a good hire. And at this point, again, nobody's off the table. Could be a rising G5 coach, could be a sitting Power 4 coach, could be a first-time coach, could be an assistant, could be Justin Parker. We'll see. At this point, we just don't know exactly how things are going to play out, but we have time to figure it out. Many of the coaches that we're going to want to interview are still working through their own regular seasons, and there's 3 weekends left. And so I encourage you to be patient with this process and with Zach Selman. I have the utmost confidence that he understands the importance of this hire. Again, I've had multiple conversations with him, spoke to him again last night after the ball game as he was out there speaking with some of our baseball parents and shaking hands and things of that nature. And I think he needs our prayer, support, and everything else. And we're going to be a lot of people that advocate for candidates. I'm not going to do that, at least not publicly. There are some people out there that I think would be a great fit, and I've communicated that to the people that need to know for whatever that's worth, right? Nobody's going to hire anybody based on what I think. But I think it's important sometimes when the connections that I have in the college baseball industry at times, there may be some coaches that maybe not on our radar that maybe should be. And so I like to share those things. But we're going to get out of here. I got to get cleaned up and get on the road to Vicksburg, and we will see you on the other side. And be watching genespage.com today, even in my absence. Our staff will take care of you. Should T.J. Ferguson commit to Mississippi State, we'll have coverage of that. And then, of course, tomorrow, we'll be paying attention when Brady McWhorter announces his decision. And we do expect that to be Mississippi State. Can't say for certain, but we expect that to be Mississippi State. Come float with us at True Rest Float Spa of Starkville. It's been a really busy week. A lot of people ask me, what's the best day to come? Tuesday's probably our lightest day. I don't know why that is, but, historically, Tuesday has been the lightest day. But if you're coming to town this weekend and you want to float while you're in town, you probably need to book ahead of time. You can do that by downloading the True Rest app, and you can book online, or you can call and speak to my lovely wife, Dana, at 662-268-7601. And she can answer any questions you may have and kind of get you all lined up. Yeah. If you're looking for signed copies of any of my books, you can find just about all of them at DudeNobleBook.com. That's all the sports titles and When the Bottom Falls. Of course, the Dude nominated for some cool things. We find out next month if we won anything. Maybe we did. Wouldn't that be great? And, of course, during this next week or so, we're going to run the 60% off coaching search promotion at genespage.com. We want to make that information as accessible to you as we can. We still have to pay the bills, but we're going to give it to you at a discount. Again, that's 60% off. And I was told yesterday that we have led the company in new signups on Monday and Tuesday. And so we look forward to having you come and be a part of that. If you got questions, we'll do our best to get you answers. But until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.